You're listening to the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. Our purpose is to inspire and equip you with knowledge and skills to enable you to have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Now your host, Joshua Mulgrew.
Hello, this again is the Marriage Clinic podcast, a little different. Today's Marriage Clinic podcast is going to be completely around Ask Uncle Josh, because we had so many questions come in and we really need a whole podcast to deal with as many of them as we can. You've been wondering who is always behind the scenes. Today you get to see his ear and his shoulder. He's Selam and he's single and searching. So let's go. So give me the questions. Yeah.
Okay, so the first question is, please, I am a Muslim and my guy is a Christian.
I am a Muslim. My guy is a Christian. Mm-hmm.
Can we still date?
Can we still date? So she's asking, I am a Muslim. My guy is a Christian. Can we still date? Wow. This is a tricky one. I'm not sure what the tenets of Islam say. What I do know is that as Christians, there are clear guidelines as to who you can and cannot marry. I'm assuming here that the dating is leading towards marriage, okay? So we are assuming here that the dating is leading towards marriage. But there are very clear tenets in the Bible as to whether a believer can marry an unbeliever. And the Bible is clear that a believer should not marry an unbeliever. But if you are married to an unbeliever and then you come into Christianity, then you are not supposed to divorce the person because the person is an unbeliever. Are you understanding me? But with regards to can a Muslim date a Christian, I'm not an Islamic scholar, so I can't answer that. I can only answer the reverse. Should a Christian date a Muslim, Ekanka, or someone of a different religion? The Bible says we should not, for several reasons. When a couple get married as Christians, so here I'm talking about Christian faith. I understand not everybody who listens to this is a Christian or belongs to the Christian faith. But in the Christian faith, when a couple come together and they get married, it's not a union between two people. It's a union between three people. Husband, wife, and God. Husband, wife, and God. So if you say it's a union between a husband, wife, and God, that's why the Bible says a three-cord strand cannot be easily broken. Then in that case, we should all believe in the same kind of faith. And what underpins such a relationship is the Bible. I know a lot of times people will say, well, I know this person who was a Buddhist and this person who was a Christian and they married and they've been married for 30 years. That's true. But for everyone you show me, I can show you 30 where religion ended up becoming a problem. A marriage works better when the people involved have a common background. So, can you? Yes. Would I advise it? No. So that's my answer.
Okay. So the second question is it true that when he asks you to move, will you not marry? Sorry. Is it true that when he asks you to move in, he will not marry you? Or does it work with other relationships out there?
So let's refine the question and see. What she's trying to say is that, is it true that when he asks you to move in with him, he will not marry you?
Yeah.
Well, is there a name? It's a ID. All right. So the question she's asking is, if I move in with my boyfriend, is it true that he will not marry me because I have moved in with him? All right. So, I mean, that's an interesting question. That's truly an interesting question. Now, what we must understand is that the motivation for a man to go ahead and go through with a marriage reduces once you have moved in with him. All right. Story is told of a couple years ago who were on a cruise. Most likely you're an American couple, and he had engaged the lady, but the lady was living with him. And they were sitting at a table with another older lady, and the lady saw the engagement ring, and she said, "Wow, engagement ring. When are you getting married?" And the woman turns to her boyfriend and says, or her fiancé, and says, "Yes, when are we getting married?" And obviously he's tired of these questions back and forth. And then he says, why buy a cow when the milk is free? The truth is that a man is not motivated to settle down if you are giving him wife benefits on a girlfriend's salary. Listen to that again. Wife benefits on a girlfriend's salary. Basically, what we are saying is that if you are giving him everything he would get from you when he's married, then why should he go ahead? And if he's African, your uncle is normally dealing with African issues, he has to go and do knocking. And in our culture, what happens is that you go with your family, you go and greet. The first greeting is called the knocking. You're knocking on the door. You are telling them your mission. They tell you, go. We will investigate about your family and let you know. They investigate to find out if it's a good family coming in. And then they will give you a list of the dowry, the things you need to pay for the dowry. Then you will schedule another day where all the families will gather and you will do that together. And then if you are Christians and you decide that you want to have a white wedding, after that, you're going to have to go to church and have a white wedding. All for him to get the benefits a wife will give him. Why would he do that if you are living with him? It doesn't make sense. I'm having sex with you. You are cooking for me. You are bearing my children. And I don't have to show any level of responsibility. If at any time we have a problem, I can say you are my girlfriend and kick you out. And then you do not get the benefits that a wife would have got because we haven't formalized it. Yeah, it benefits the man, and chances that he'll marry you are low. So if you're considering it, don't do it. If you're considering it, don't do it. If you really want marriage as the goal, let him go the right way. All right? What's our next question?
Okay. So our next question is, for how long should people date before they marry each other?
So, for how long should people date before they marry each other? Wow. There isn't a hard and fast rule to it. And if I, for instance, turned around and said date for 6 months, I'll create a problem. If I said date for 4 years, I'll create a problem. I've seen people who dated for 2 to 3 months and they are married. And I've seen people who dated for 10 years and are now married. I have a friend called Elijah. He dated his wife for 10 years. However, we see some common threads. One, and when I'm talking about dating, I'm not saying you've known each other for a long time, but you make the relationship official. If you have found each other, get to know each other, and the relationship is very short, under a year, chances are that the first few years of your marriage are going to be very difficult because you don't know enough about each other. So let's understand that. Chances are that you don't know enough about each other. So the advice is that you should have dated for more than a year. Some say you should have seen more than one Harmattan. Harmattan is the end of the year. Once we have seen 2 Harmattans together, most likely we have been dating for more than a year. Because I can pretend for 2 months. I can pretend for 3 months. It's very difficult to pretend for more than 6 months. And by a year, the person's true nature, who they are, will come out. We do not advise you to get married until you've had a big fight. And all that you will not get in a short courtship, right? On the other hand, if you date for too long, a relationship that could have worked becomes boring and you may break up. So I say, now this is the gospel according to Uncle Josh. Not according to the Bible, not according to any book. It's the gospel according to Uncle Josh. I believe that a minimum of 9 months, and that's risking it, and a maximum of 2 years should be good. Anything beneath or above that comes with inherent problems, but could still work. But the sweet spot is 9 months to 24 months. That's the sweet spot I'll ask them to go for. How many questions have we done so far?
This is the third one.
So we've done 2 questions so far. Wow. Okay. Yes.
So the next question is, I have dated a guy for 7 years. No marriage, no kids, and we broke up. Uncle George, I'm still in pain for the 7 years I wasted because I really didn't know. What should I do?
So she's saying that she's dated a guy for 7 years. No children. What did she say?
No marriage.
No marriage.
No children.
No children.
And they still broke up.
And they still broke up. Would it have been better if you had children and then you broke up? Here's the thing. One of the people who mentored me always used to say this. A man who wants to marry you quickly. Look, when I met my wife, after dating for about 3 months, I was asking her, what does it take to do the dowry and everything? Like, I was already in the zone. Like, I want to marry you. I'm not here to play games. I've coined this term that I shared when I went to the nurses training college recently, where I told them that date slowly and break up fast. Date slowly, but break up fast. What does it mean? Within 3 months in a relationship, you will know, your gut will tell you if this is going to work out or not. If he's serious or not. If she's serious or not. If both of you have the kind of characters that can gel together. If it is not working, before the 1 year anniversary, exit that relationship. What were you doing for 7 years? 7 years. And I tell people, often when I meet people who are still in school, maybe they are in their first or second year and they get in, I say, you're only going to be ready to get married in 4 years' time. Why are you entering a relationship now? So get into a relationship. The closer you are to getting married, I recommend that the best time to get into a relationship is when you have about 2 years to get married. However, what I will say is that for you who has gone through this, I'm sorry. 7 years of pain. Let's learn from it. Go on YouTube, Dr. Joshua Mogri. I have a podcast there on how to recover from a broken heart and how to move on. I'll ask you to listen to it. And I trust that if you do the things I recommend, the right relationship will find you. I'm sorry, 7 years. Wow, Solomon, that's a lot of time. 7 years. I mean, you could do your first degree, do your national service, and do your master's if you were in Ghana. I mean, you could have 4 children in 7 years. That's a lot. I'm sorry, my dear. I'm really sorry. Kafra, why? All right. What's the next question?
Okay, so the next question is, my guy introduced me to his 2 sisters, brother, and co-workers. But he still told me unless I give birth to him. For him. Before he will marry me.
So he introduced her to his 2 sisters and brother, and then his co-workers. But he says, I will only marry you if you get pregnant and have a child for me. He's a fool. He's a big fool. And you will be a bigger fool if you did. Look, your uncle is telling you the truth. First of all, he's a fool. And you will be a bigger fool if you fall for this. He didn't introduce you to his mother, his father, his uncles, his family members. But he wants you to carry a child for him. But he is not willing to show you the commitment. That means it's your womb he wants to marry, not you. It's your womb. He's looking for your womb. He's looking for a baby-making machine. He wants to get husband benefits on a boyfriend salary. And it doesn't work like that. Or with boyfriend efforts. My sister, run for the hills. Or my niece, or my daughter, run for the hills. A man who says, have a child for me before I marry you. Look, I'm dealing with a situation now where the guy told the lady, get pregnant and then I'll marry you. And she got pregnant. She's sitting in her father's house with the child. And the guy didn't even show up for the naming ceremony. So, and even as I think about it, I can count about I can count a lot of people I know that fell for this lie and they feel like fools now. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is not husband material. He's a boy. He's a child in a man's body. So don't fall for it. Okay, let's go for the next question. Probably we can take 2 more and then we'll be done.
Okay, so the next question is, what if he used to post another lady and always comment on their post, calling them lovely names, and he didn't post?
So what she's complaining about, if I'm understanding, is that he puts up pictures of other ladies and he compliments them. But he's never put a picture up of you. And you are the main chick. First of all, you may need to really check and see if you are the main chick. Because it's possible you are a side, but you think you are the main. Salam says maybe you're an illegal connection. Well, here's the thing. There are a number of reasons. One, it could be that you don't take nice pictures. And you don't take care of yourself. Maybe he loves you, but you don't take care of yourself. You don't take nice pictures. So he feels some way about sharing you. Or it could be that he's ashamed of you. Or it could be that he may have had the idea that you don't like him sharing. So I would advise, have a conversation with him. Don't throw a tantrum. Just ask him directly, hey, I see you share pictures of a lot of ladies. Okay? But you've never shared my picture. Why? And let him tell you why. And then do the correct things that he says are the problem. And if he still doesn't share you, then let me announce to you that you are not the main. I'm sorry. Okay, so next question.
Okay, so the next and final question is, Uncle, please help me. How do I know that he wants to marry me? We have dated for 5 years. So they have been dated for 5 years and she still doesn't know.
They've been dating for 5 years and she still doesn't know if he wants to marry her. He does not want to marry you. Simple. If he wanted to marry you, you would not be asking this question. And most likely, you know he doesn't want to marry you, but you are holding on to the belief that maybe he will come to his senses. I've known guys who dated I knew of a situation where the guy dated, listen to this one. He dated the lady for 3 years and said he's not really into the marriage thing. And then when they broke up, he met another lady and within 9 months, he was married to her.
Wow.
So the problem was not that he didn't want marriage. He didn't want marriage to her. So in this situation, it's possible. It's really, 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 really possible that he just doesn't want to marry you. And you've been hanging on for 5 years. And here's the thing. Some guys don't break up with ladies. They wait for you to be tired. Especially if he's getting some benefits. All right? You know the benefits I'm talking about. So what happens is that some people will not come and say, let's break up. I know guys who say this in tree. Oh, brow beko. When you are tired, you will go. So they just frustrate you. And sometimes it's based on the person's temperament. If the person is a phlegmatic to say we've broken up, no. They just wait it out. And they have the stamina to wait it out. Anyway, this has been fun. This has been the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. And today it has been Selom and I, where we've been discussing some questions that have come into Ask Uncle Josh. How many questions did you have?
I had like 6.
6.
Yeah.
And this was the refined 6 that you had, and we've dealt with. How many have we dealt with?
I think we dealt with every one of them.
Okay, so we've dealt with your questions. Keep sending in your questions. I will answer them. We probably will cut up these questions into smaller videos and you see them pop up. But it's been good to have you on the Marriage Clinic podcast. Please share it. Look for me on every social media platform. That is Dr. Joshua Mogri. And it's been great spending time with you. Take care. Bye.